Welcome back to TECHMIMIC, where you can simply view, imitate, replicate, and get on with your day. In this video, we are going to attempt to troubleshoot various startup issues with Davinci Resolve on Linux Mint, Ubuntu or Debian once it is installed. This video is a follow-up to the earlier video how to install Davinci Resolve 20 on Linux Mint with an NVIDIA GPU. And by now there are several videos on the channel about the topic of getting Davinci Resolve to work on Linux. Since the publication of the various videos and based on the percentage of thumbs up, of course thank you all for the interaction, I can see based on the comments that for the majority of the viewers the procedure is working. But some of them run into issues after the installation because they are not able to run Davinci after clicking the application icon. And then some are able to run it from the terminal, but only with sudo, so they have to run it as the root user. This video is an attempt to address those common problems. But be warned that we will need the terminal, but I will lead you through it to the best of my abilities and I will present a graphical alternative where possible. By the way, if you see some very occasional screen tearing later in this video, this is because the monitor of my test machine was set at 30 frames per second, but I recorded on 25 frames per second. I hope you can forgive me. I'm demonstrating this on Linux Mint 22.1, also named Linux Mint Xia, with an NVIDIA GT 710 graphics card. This is not a fancy video card, but this is just a test system, and it gets the job done of light video editing. And before you start, it is always a good idea to check that the system is fully updated. We won't be going over the actual installation and package conversion of Davinci Resolve for Linux. The related videos are linked in the video description for your convenience. So the starting point here is that Davinci Resolve is installed, but when you click the icon, nothing happens. I have tried to reproduce this error, but of course, as luck would have it, for me it works each and every time. So please ignore this and assume the situation that you click the Davinci Resolve icon from the menu, or like me, it is pinned to the taskbar, and the mouse cursor spins for a second, and then absolutely nothing happens, like this. Now open a terminal, and by default this will open in your user's home directory, so switch to the directory where Davinci Resolve is installed with the command cd/opt/resolve/bin, and list the directory contents in detail with the command ls-l. The file named Resolve is the actual Davinci Resolve program. With the Linux utility LDD, and that stands for List Dynamic Dependencies, you can print the shared libraries that are required for a program on the screen. Don't worry what this means, just type LDD Resolve. Now scroll back up the long list, and what you want to see, simply put, is that, except for the top line, every .so file is pointing towards another file. If you see the words not found, you would have to fix this shared library dependency issue first. Let me know in the comments if you run into this, and I will share the procedure with you. It's just a couple of commands. You can also find them in the comments on the existing videos, but I will keep it out of this one to keep it more focused. So go down the list and make sure everything is linked and nothing is reported as not found. If this is all fine, then the next step is to start Davinci Resolve from the terminal by typing /resolve. This will do the same as clicking the icon in the menu, but you can now look behind the curtain or under the covers if you will. Again, ignore the fact that for me Davinci Resolve is starting, just assume it isn't and you can look for clues on screen in this way. A common and repeatedly reported problem is that at this point the terminal throws a segmentation fault and Davinci doesn't start. The common fix for this, and for many other issues, is to run Davinci Resolve as root by typing sudo:/resolve. And then there is a good chance that Davinci will start. If needed, you will have to go through the quick setup wizard. After that, you should be able to start Davinci without issues, but only with the sudo command. And of course you could accept this and work like this, but I would say that you don't want to run Resolve as root all the time. First, because this is considered unsafe, and second, you can get into configuration issues later down the road. If at this point it is still not working for you, it might be worth looking into the Davinci Resolve logs that are located in your user's home directory. Just open the File Explorer and then click the Home button like this. Then type /local/, hit enter, and then browse to the directory share, then Davinci Resolve, and then logs. Try to study the files resolvedebug.txt and resolve_graphics_log.txt for any further clues. Now back to the terminal. The reason you got into this situation, that Davinci Resolve only runs with sudo in the first place, is because during the installation, Davinci Resolve had to be installed with the sudo command. This is because a regular user account can't change the opt directory, and so administrative permissions were required. But you should not need sudo to run Davinci Resolve, so let's fix the issue. When you installed it, the Resolve program here in the directory opt resolve bin was marked to be owned by root, and it wasn't given the right permissions for your regular user account to execute properly. And that's why it only works with sudo. To verify this, let's have a look at the Resolve program once again by typing ls-l resolve, and be sure to be in the opt resolve bin directory, or provide the full path instead. The permissions are highlighted now, rwx for the owner of the file, and the owner of the file is currently root. Other users, so that will be your regular user account, only have read and execute and not write permissions. The odd thing is that this is usually enough to run a program in Linux, but Resolve does loads of things, think about plugins and GPU access, that sometimes just break if it is installed fully under root without user access. If you prefer to see this graphically, go back to the File Explorer, browse to the directory opt resolve bin, and right-click the Resolve file and select Properties. On the Permissions tab, you can once again see that the owner is root, and that the root has read and write access, and is allowed to execute the file as a program. So how can we fix this ownership? Simply make your user the owner of the Davinci Resolve folder and everything in it, including the Resolve program itself. Proceed with caution and at your own risk. Just to be sure, let's navigate away from the directory back into your user's home directory, and the shortcut for this is the tilde character. Verify with the pwd command to print the current working directory. Now type sudo chown for change owner, -R, then your username, your username again, /opt/resolve. Replace TECHMIMIC with your username. The change owner command will change the owner, and the -R indicates that this should be done recursively for the entire opt resolve directory, so including all of its contents. When you now verify the opt resolve bin resolve file, the owner and group name should have been updated to your username. You could also verify the opt resolve directory itself with the ls-ld command. Now try to start Davinci Resolve again, first from the terminal, but this time without sudo, because you have fixed the ownership issues. And if that works, it's time to leave the terminal and start Davinci Resolve through the application icon. Speaking of the application icon, if you want to change the name or its configuration, right-click it in the menu and select Properties. Let me change the name to Davinci Resolve 20. And the command listed will look very familiar to you by now. And this is also where you can select to use a dedicated GPU if this is available. A dedicated video with more details on the topic of GPU offloading is once again linked below. And to round it off, you can see all of the properties and edit it with a text editor by opening the File Explorer and navigating to .local like before. But this time select Share and then Applications. In the file com.blackmagicdesign.resolve.desktop, you can adjust the properties, for example the application's icon. Also the name we have just changed is reflected here. And as a final test, Davinci Resolve now starts straight from the menu without any errors and without having to use sudo. That's it. Hope it helped, and if it did, please like the video and keep it up. Until next time, bye!